I'm Dan, and this is 10,000 Hours of Indie, a podcast exploring new music and delving deeper into what goes on in the background of the independent music industry. I'm a musician and music lover and enjoy nothing more than discovering a band I haven't heard. In this first series of more in-depth interviews, I speak to 9 acts from a vast array of musical backgrounds about what it means to be an independent artist. From recording to stage, we talk about their musical processes and the decisions that have shaped them. These interviews are fascinating, and I have certainly learned something from every single one of them. Follow on the socials and email me 10,000indie@gmail.com. Okay, hi Ben, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. Nice to see you. Sorry about the mess up with the meeting, but here we are.
It happens, doesn't it? It happens too often.
Yeah.
So, let's start with an easy question. What do you listen to and what are your influences? Are they the same thing?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think back when I started, it was the basic, really when I started listening to music, it was ABBA, Mud, Sweet, these kind of bands, pop rock bands, and then I got into Dr. Feelgood, Status Quo, and after that I got into anything Richie Blackmore touched was gold, and then Gary Moore, Michael Schenker, Uriah Heep, all these Deep Purple, White Snake. It took a long time for me to realize that there's music in America. I thought there wasn't anything else than this that I listened to already.
It's interesting that you mentioned ABBA, because I always think that ABBA's guitar work is so underrated.
Oh, yeah, that's a great band. The studio stuff they did was fantastic. I mean, it was the creme de la crop of Sweden's studio players and musicians.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now, I still listen to Hendrix, not closest enough that I used to. I try to listen to Robin Trower, and he's still releasing new music. His new album comes out somewhere in late April, I think. Modern, these guys are just as old as I am. Mike Landau, Steve Lukather, Jeff Beck, obviously probably one of my favorites. Still a lot of Gary Moore. Matt Schofield is good. I like him a lot. If we talk about bands, I play in Drink Floyd, so I've listened to some Pink Floyd, which I didn't at all before I joined the band.
Oh, really?
No,
okay.
That was not my cup of tea at all.
Right.
Now I, of course, love it. I like Cheap Trick, Kansas, everything with good melodies, basically.
Yeah.
When it comes to guitar players, I find that I still listen to the ones that I mentioned,
Yeah.
Most of them are still releasing music, so that's it.
Okay.
There's a lot of new stuff, but I don't get it.
Well, I was just going to say that sort of the next question is, do you still look for new music consciously, or obviously you've got kids. Yeah. Do your kids sort of bring music to you? And no?
Nope. It was, when they were younger, like anything from 3 till up to 8, 9. If I played guitar, they would come and put their hand on the strings. Daddy, you're not working now. I'm like, this is not work. This is my life. We are your life. Yeah, but sometimes when I released a new album and I played some songs, and when they were kids, they would set up the pillows so they played band. They pretended they were a band, but those days are definitely gone. If we go somewhere to eat and there's, God forbid, Rush or Led Zeppelin or something, I start to table drum or something. Dad, stop that. This is very embarrassing that you listen to this oldies music.
Oh, goodness.
And the stuff they listen to, I don't listen to.
Yeah.
But rap and all this kind of pop. Sometimes I'd say, okay, I'll try. And I can get why they like it, but it's not for me.
Yeah. Well, my 4-year-old gets his ukulele out and plays along when I play.
Yeah, they had ukuleles. They didn't mind playing a lot. They didn't play along. It was like air guitar with a ukulele.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's pretty well loud strumming, which doesn't go with anything. Yeah. Okay, so indie music, and there's no offence meant with this question. You're a little older than most of the people I'm speaking to for this podcast.
Yeah, I'm young between my ears and old in my body.
I know the feeling. I expect your answers to differ a little from most, as you didn't have social media in your hand when you started your career, obviously. But were you aware of independent music, and sort of when was your awareness of independent music?
First, I'd have to ask you, what do you consider to be indie music nowadays? Because whenever that people say, oh, they play indie music, I was like, what's the difference from the other music?
Well, yeah, exactly. But I actually had this discussion with one band, the difference between DIY and indie. Because for me, indie music is on an independent label or you self-release. I think it covers all of those.
Well,
it's
then that's
just not
me, then.
Exactly. But in terms of your knowledge of independent music, when did you sort of become aware of something being indie as opposed to on a major label, for example?
I can't recall a time when I realized, hey, this band is on this is a smaller label, because I didn't really look at music that way. I just bought what I liked and I listened to, and when I didn't like it, I resold the album or gave it away. And I remember when we started doing gigs, I see a lot of these indie nights and stuff like this, and I was like, well, what is that difference? I mean, same shit. I pay for everything I do myself. The music is different, but I'm in the same, I have my own label that I record with, and then I license or I release it myself. But I would consider indie music to be rock music with a little bit more pop stuff, but with a garage touch. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good way of summing it up, yeah.
But garage touch, with that I mean that it's self-produced and it's self-done. It has a little bit more attitude.
Yeah.
It's not formulated, it's not done like intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, stop.
Yeah.
It's what I think is a good thing. There's a little bit more imagination in the songwriting. Or, on the opposite, no imagination. They can play one chord and sing one thing on top of it, and then that's the song. But everything works. I mean, my wife, Yassi, who you know as well, I would consider her an indie artist from the stuff that she did before. And some of the songs she takes, she plays 3 chords and she can have a verse and a chorus and a bridge on those same chords. I don't write music like that. I can't. I have to put in something weird. So then, like, grandpa indie, I don't know.
Hey, now there's a genre we could create. Okay, so you've always been, in your own terms, an indie musician, but obviously you have been in bands that were signed to labels.
Yeah, I mean,
what did you find was sort of the major differences between the way things worked?
Well, we have a saying in Finland, tehkää oma kustanne, niin saatte maistaa omaa kustanne. And now that rhymes fine, and you don't understand what it means. But what it means is that pay your own albums and taste your own shit. Or piss, actually. But,
Yep.
That's basically what it is. You put your blood and soul, all your money into recording, maybe in a garage, and mix it at home, and then you release it. You do everything yourself. And unless you sell a certain amount, you won't recoup. Now, when I started, I was with bigger labels, and what doesn't happen anymore, you don't get a 3-album deal anymore with anybody, which is what we were starting out. Then when we finally got the first, okay, we're going to make an album deal, but it was 3 albums. A debut album, we'll see how it goes. If something is interesting, we'll release the second one, we push it a little bit more, and maybe that becomes more popular, and then we'll do a third one, and after that we'll talk again. Or we'll still try with the third one. If it doesn't work, then you're out. And when I was in Leningrad Cowboys and with Gringos Locos, I mean, the monies that we talked about for promotion, for instance, only for Leningrad Cowboys album, that the biggest one they had, Go Space. With that money, I could have released 10 albums. And then after that, my deal, my first solo deal, came out of pure luck. I was sitting in the back of the bus with Leningrad Cowboys. I had a little 4-track Tascam recorder and a shitty little drum machine and some kind of amp that I could record guitar and bass with. And I did my own demos in the bus, and the record label boss was with us in the bus, and he said, "What are you doing, Ben?" "I'm just kind of doing my instrumental stuff." "Hey, can I listen to it?" And I was like, well, he doesn't like this shit. And he put the headphones on and head starts going up and up. "Cool, man, do you want to make an album?" I was like, "What?" And I never signed anything, and I think I released maybe 6 albums under him, 5 or 6, and we never had a contract. He paid for the sessions and released it, and then they always sold so much. They got a little bit money, I got a little bit money. Okay, let's do it again. Pretty indie to me.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And then when that was over, after that, it was pretty much so that I paid for the sessions, I paid for everything recording, and I had a master which I then tried to offer to labels. And most of the labels I got after that were small labels. And now I'm signed to a small label, but they work really well. I'm just about to release my 21st solo album.
Wow.
So I'm still here, doing the music.
Absolutely.
That also probably tells all listeners that this guy must be really fucking old. But I'll be 62 now, so in June. So.
And you're still enjoying it as much as you always
have? I love playing guitar. I mean, I enjoy it more than ever before. I have a problem because I got arthritis, and I have a lot of joint issues. My fingers don't work as I could, but I still love it. It seems to be going slightly up for me at the moment. And I'm not, I don't know what people think is success. To me, success is that I can still go out and play, even if I play for 80 or 200 people. It's a success. They come to see me, listen to my music. They've come for the last 10, 15 years, and they come back. They bring their friends. It's a work situation that works. Of course, yeah, I'd love to play for 500 people a night. But it's not possible. I don't have the means to reach that many people. I have a good reputation. So I don't know. In this sense, I'm an indie blues rock melodic guitar guy. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a great way. Yeah, I would sum you up like that as well.
Yeah, because, as I said, you can't get these deals with the record labels more that they would put money in for 3 albums because they don't get the money back. So when they see a person that they think, yeah, this person, they see a band that has a good front girl or boy or man or woman, and it's, yeah, we can make that work. Suddenly, there's no band anymore. It's only the singer.
Yeah.
They get a bunch of writers to write the songs with the artist. And usually what happens is that the artist input gets smaller and smaller. And then they release 3 or 4 singles, maybe 1 album, and they market the hell out of it. If, like I say, if you throw a bunch of shit on the wall, some of it sticks and the rest will drop off.
Yeah.
And this is a shame because there's no artist development. There is no way this artist can become, or never mind that the band could have been good, but we get session players. And that's a shame.
It is. Yeah. I mean, you can tell, certainly by looking at the British charts, that there's only been, I think, 3 number ones in the last 10 years that have been bands, and the rest have been artists. So
yeah, but it was a good business before, good, but it was a big business before, like the 70s, 80s, 90s, where bands and record labels made money. Now record labels made money and bands or artists make a lot less because there are no sales.
I was going to say, can you pinpoint what changed that, do you think? Was it streaming? Or
streaming.
You think it was purely streaming?
Yeah. Streaming, YouTube, all the digital platforms. It's also evolution. It was bound to happen. I still buy CDs. And I'm dreaming of buying a vinyl player, but I have some vinyls, but I don't have a player, and I don't know where to put it. And we have 6 cats on the cat scratching on CD on vinyl will get a new meaning at home.
Yeah, you'll certainly hear them differently if they get to the records.
But I mean, again, I never really cared. All I wanted to do was make my own music, record it, release it, tour. Hopefully it's sold enough that I got some money so I can start the next album. Of course, I had dreams that I would be more famous or play for more people. But I'm not. So I have to take it as it comes. And I'm still extremely happy that, yesterday I got an offer for a tour in France. Okay, fucking great. We did 2 festivals there last year. So someone saw us and liked it. And I can combine that with Europe, with Germany where I play the most. I can maybe add a show in Belgium and 1 or 2 in Holland when we go or come from France. And that means we have new territory and new listeners.
So you're still excited about getting out to a new crowd?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, it comes back to the fact that all I want to do is play and perform with my band. I mean, I'm blessed with we're a trio. And that's another thing, the smaller the band, the more the profit. The smaller the band, the easier to travel. Yeah. The less travel cost. The smaller the band, the tighter the feeling. If you have 6 people in the band, the bigger the family, the more there's always some problems.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that it's always that way, but in the long run, I had a keyboard player a couple of times, another guitar player, and it was great, but I've always fall back to the power trio. And that's what I want to do. Then you have festivals. We did some festivals in Poland. I said, but no trio. You got to be 4. I don't care if it's a backing vocalist, if it's a keyboard player, or another guitar player. But you play on a big stage. We want to have more people on stage. It's got to look more bigger and better.
Why?
Yeah.
That seems...
Don't ask. I don't know.
Yeah.
But okay, the festival we played, the bigger one, the main headliner was Robin Ford, who was a great player, but he was a trio. And he didn't have much communication with the people. He played great, but it got a little bit boring. Before him, there was a 6 or 7 piece kind of bluesy soul band that fucking stole the show. Everybody was up and dancing, and they had this. We played before there was a 4 piece, and that went down well as well. So I can see their point that if they want to have a 3 piece, they don't want them to be headlining, unless they are so popular with so many songs that everybody, gets up and dances, because still you want to entertain all the time. I was shocked, but I understand why.
Yeah.
And when we flew over it was in Poland for the same promoter later, he said, sorry, I love your trio stuff, but I just want to have one more guy. Can you bring a keyboard player? I'll pay extra. So we took a keyboard player.
Well, if you need a crazy dancing maraca player for any summer gigs, give us a shout.
As long as there's not a DJ. Sorry.
It sounds like you did certainly your solo stuff your own way when you were signed to the label.
Yeah, I had complete artistic freedom.
How about when you were in the bands? How much input did the label have to the way your music took shape?
Well, when we were if we go back to the beginning, Gringos Locos, we did 3 albums. They heard all the demos and they agreed that this song should go on album. There was pretty much everybody agreed on what was going to be there. No fighting. After that, I went to Leningrad Cowboys. And with Leningrad Cowboys, we pretty much did whatever we wanted. It was crazy. But then when we did this, we did this album with the Red Army Choir and Orchestra from Russia, which were just covers. And they thought it was a brilliant idea to do them slightly differently. And yeah, it was kind of not one of my favorite periods in the band. Then we did the first studio album with all songs. And I'd written most of the songs. And then they said, no, we know Paddy Esley has some songs he's offering to us from True Publishing. We think you should do them. And this was also the leaders of the band had gotten this. And they said, these are hits. We have to have these songs. And it didn't work. They were not hits. Well, what can you do, At that time, I didn't care. I wrote a lot of songs and most of them ended up on the album, so I was happy. And this was also around the time when this was bigger business, The advance for publishing was 130,000, something like this. That's a fucking lot of money. And then when it sold the album, obviously if you're a writer, you get a little bit more, and stuff. So I learned a lot during that period about the politics of songs, because when I played in the earlier bands, I was wondering why some people suddenly didn't want to work. Well, they just got 40,000 for publishing advances. So I don't have to work for 3 months. What the fuck? I got to work. It didn't stop me. I worked anyway. And now there might be a small publishing advance, but that usually goes to cover costs for making the album, mastering or mixing or whatever. But no, for me, luckily, there was never any pressure, you have to write stuff like this.
Right.
I came up with the songs, and then they said, yeah, we love this, let's do it.
Sounds lucky in a way.
Yeah, I was very lucky in that sense that I was, and still obviously, well, now I used to have produced by whoever takes the blame, which would be me. But every musician who writes a song or makes music thinks that, hey, this song is a hit. At least 1 or 2 songs they write, hey, this is a hit. And so did I, but it wasn't. Mainly because it was not heard by the right audience. I didn't have the means to do that promotion. I just went along and did what I always do. Album, tour, press, album, press, tour, album, press, tour, It's work. If you don't work, you can't do music. I have to do gigs for a living, and the kids need to eat. The wife needs new shoes. Sorry, I see.
Okay, so obviously you've played in several bands, and although you're a solo artist, you have a band. Do you prefer life as a solo artist and doing things your own way?
If somebody would do at the moment, I'm doing the booking, both Europe and Finland. I manage myself. I do all the accounting. I do all the press. I would fucking love that there would be a person who would take care of them. The thing is, I put all my money into this, and I pay the players. I don't know if they would like to be part of taking the risk.
Yeah.
You know, and they also play in other bands, big bands. So at the moment, the solo artist thing is what works.
Yeah.
I do also solo acoustic shows. So.
And of course, you play in a couple of covers bands still as well.
Yeah, I mean, Drink Floyd started out as a joke, but now it's a pretty good joke.
It's been going for quite a few years now, hasn't it? 7 or 8 years?
We're doing quite big concert. We just played Savoy Theatre here in Helsinki, 600 people. So, yeah, it's good. But then again, I was told the band guys and we all agreed that maximum 2 months a year, absolute maximum. I don't want to do covers that much.
Yeah.
Last year I did probably 8 or 10 gigs with my friends. I've got 2 friends that we do like a power trio where we do anything from Police to Gary Moore to pop songs, you know. But obviously with me on guitar, they're not that poppy anymore.
Okay, so what is your creative process when you start to make music? Does it start from a riff, or do you start with a line of vocals? Or because I think, was it the next album's completely instrumental?
Yeah, that's me being a guitarist firsthand. I'm happy with how everything sounds when I sing and on the albums, but I see one critic somewhere on YouTube said that Ben shouldn't be singing, and I feel, fuck, I'm going to stop now. But then again, I know that everybody gets these comments.
Yeah.
I get comments from people saying that, yeah, Ben is so obviously so fucking bad on guitar and his English is so bad, you know, he shouldn't be singing in English. And these are just Finnish fucking jealous people, keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't know what to do after the last album, which was called Gratitude, which was my thank you to Gary Moore, Jeff Beck and Robin Trower. I thought, well, what can I do after this? I always have my guitar with me in the hotel room, and small bits and pieces started popping up, you know. Oh, this is pretty cool, but it's not really a vocal thing, this. And then I started asking some fans, both in Finland and in Europe, what would you say about an instrumental album? Everybody was, yeah, you should do it. You should do it. And then suddenly I had 10 songs, out of which 9 are on the album. And then we recorded almost 20 shows last year, and I thought the shows were so good. And the songs, the versions that we do live differ so much from the studio ones in terms of, let's say, My Soul to You, which I didn't want to play for a while, but then it started to be so requested that we have to do it, is under 4 minutes on the album. It's 6.5 live, minimum. Because we jam, we play along. There's no rules. The song's got to be played, but if there's a feeling that, let's see what happens if this middle part goes on, and then everybody knows how to get back to the bridge or whatever. But we jam a lot, and like I'm very proud that it's a double CD and a double vinyl, and the B side is 20 minutes, but it's only 2 songs, old style. Well, loads of jamming.
We were actually talking about this with the band I interviewed on Monday, saying we don't want to go and see bands that play the same thing as is on the album. Why would you? You want to see something different. You want to see it get bigger.
And one thing you will never see with me is backing tracks.
That's a good call.
I understand that some of these big production bands need that to go through a show so that it sounds as close to the album as possible. And the songs are exactly the same as the album. But I don't want to do that. I live for playing. So even the lyrics change, but that's because I don't remember them.
Oh, I have that problem. And the worst thing in being in a covers band, I find, is that I have to have the words in front of me. Because when people sing along and I'm doing it wrong,
Oh, believe me, I have fans who go like, in the middle of the set, they go shaking their heads. But no, Ben, you're singing the second verse on the first and out press. And stuff like that. But no, I sometimes it can be a line, a melody phrase. But mostly it's something with the guitar. And I also, when I play guitar at home, I sit in the sofa with an acoustic guitar and I just, finger along and I don't know what I'm doing. And My Soul to You, which I mentioned earlier, has a guitar lick melody. I just started out like some bluesy thing, and then it evolved, and I was sitting on the sofa. I got to do something. And then the chords came, and then the melody came, and then the chorus came, and it was there. Like, you write a 4-minute song in 2 minutes.
Sometimes it's just right, isn't it?
But then there are songs like, on the new album, there's one called 8 Elephants, which I was trying to remember the saying, like a bull in a china store. And I was trying to explain it to the guys. And I was like, what's that thing when elephants go in a store and they destroy everything? Because we were working on a song that I didn't like the mid part and I didn't like that. And they said, just play a long solo. You haven't played a long solo on any of the other songs. And I was like, no, I don't like long songs. Yeah, let's do it. So I said, oh, fuck it. Okay, we're going to do this. First, there's going to be a bass solo, then a guitar solo, and then a drum solo.
Old school.
Old school. And this is actually the next single.
Okay.
I mean, what does it matter? It's a testimony of what we play. It doesn't have to be 3 minutes, 20 seconds, and, with "Ooh, baby, I love you" 10 times, and then it's a hit. So it just came together when everybody said, okay, I want to solo on this part, and I want to do it on this part. And then that was the song.
But so you still write with a band in mind when you develop things?
Always with a band in mind. And I let the guys, if I make demos, and some are just with a drum loop and a bass riff and a guitar, 2 parts maybe, or 3 parts played after each other, so it's not a song based, it's just 3 parts after each other, so that I will remember. So I played to them and they said, okay, now we have to arrange this to a song. And that's where the guys come in, because they're very, very good. I mean, Jari Salminen on drums and Masa Mainen on bass, they're all veterans. They played with everybody here in Finland. So they're very good with, hey, why don't you, if I do that, then you do this, and then I can do this. And Ben, you don't have to worry about what we do here, but let's put in 4 extra bars here for this and that. It's fantastic. It really, if very seldom I say, no, I don't like that. I can count maybe on one hand 5 times during the last 4 or 5 years that we made music together.
Wow.
And a lot of, especially before I start singing, when the guys necessarily don't know the melody to everything, they fall into something that I didn't think about when we play groove, and say, okay, and that might change the melody a little bit, or vice versa. When I start singing, oh, that's what you're gonna do. So hey, maybe we should play like this. So, but it's 3 guys mostly working together. I write, we arrange, and then we play together.
And I guess some of the constraints are taken away by not having vocals on this album as well.
Yeah, but then again, there's more guitar than ever on any of our album. Not shredding, I can't do that anymore even. I don't even play fast. But I wrote, my instrumental songs are songs that have melodies where the singing should be. So I think those melodies are, some of the songs are melodies that are so hooky that you can start whistling them when you walk on the street.
That's good promo. Yeah. You should use that.
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit about touring. Obviously, you've mentioned already that you're doing all your own bookings and everything like that.
I don't want to, but I have to.
Yeah, well, I've
had some bad experiences, let's put it this way.
Is that the reason you choose to book for yourself?
Yeah, the last company that I had, which I can't mention because of...
Not wanting to get sued, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But they were also my label, so now people can go. But that didn't work out at all. They had such big promises and what they did and what they should do. And then, unfortunately, they lost a lot of money, but they didn't tell me anything. So we went on tour, and then I only got half of what was promised, and they still owe me money. And that was not good. And now I proved to myself that I can book myself again. And it's 15 or 20% more for us.
True, of course, yeah.
But it's a hell of a lot of work. Emailing, phoning. And when I call a new club or new promoter, and they goes, yeah, I think I've heard your name. What kind of music do you play? And I'm like, fuck, do I have to start explaining who I am and what I do? Because, let's say, 80% of the clubs that they know me already.
Yeah. So it's easy to rebook, but trying to build a reputation is the difficult part.
Yeah, the best part was when in Finland in Kuopio there's a place, it was a nice club called Henry's Pub. And I played there fucking every year, in the 90s. Every year, maybe 2 gigs a year. And early 2000, the booker changed. It was the guy who booked the gigs there. And there was a young guy who came up and he's like, I called him up, hi, it's Ben Granfelt. Could be maybe you sold out the 2 gigs for this year. Okay, what kind of music do you play? I said, it's kind of like this guitar rock. I don't know if that's our stuff. I said, what do you mean? Well, I've never heard of you before. I really don't know. I said, what do you want for your gigs? And I told him, no, I can't pay that. I said, it's the same that we've had every year. No, I don't know. I said, look, is Teemu still working in the bar? Yeah, he's the bar manager. Good. Ask him who Ben Granfelt is. I'll call you back tomorrow. Because I got fed up of trying to explain.
Oh, yeah.
So next day I called back and I'm sorry, Ben. Yeah, which day do you want to come? But this is all fucking irritating
and
stuff.
And it's what you shouldn't have to go through. Yeah.
And now especially, booking and touring and doing the shows abroad, the business is going down. Some clubs close.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the gigs I did last year, some of the 2 clubs they said, we can't do this anymore. One guy said that I could do it if I take cover bands and I have music bingo and karaoke also in the week. But I'd rather fucking close this place, because that place was a historic kind of a rock and blues venue. I said, I'd rather close. I'm 67. I've had enough. And then if some younger people take it, it's going to turn into a hip-hop club.
Yeah.
Which in itself is nothing wrong. They got to play somewhere too.
Yeah.
But I try to... I have a list of maybe 40 clubs, and usually I end up doing 15 to 20 of them. Also, you got to be... I have to start booking next May now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a lot longer, hasn't it? It used to be 3 to 4 months ahead, and now it's a year.
Yeah, and more than a year in some clubs.
Yeah.
I have a list of clubs that I contacted a year before. Like last year, I'm touring September to October in Germany with my own band. And I started booking last autumn. And they said, sorry, we have no free dates. Get back very early next year when you want to come. We'll put you in. And the other thing is, you send an email, you get no reply.
Yeah.
And there's a simple reason to that. The bookers get about 150 to 200 emails a day. So I've taken up to calling people here in Finland, and I realized that when I normally spend 2 hours sending emails and finding the clubs and to do everything, in half hour I made 4 calls and I booked 4 gigs. I said, oh, thank God you called. I know that your email was there, but I have so many. I don't have the time to go through them. And since I'm not artist that sells 200, 300, I sell 100 to 200. They will open that as the second batch of emails. They take the sellouts, then they know the sellout first.
Yeah, of
Obviously,
course.
it's business,
Yeah. Okay, moving on from that, how about your social media? I mean, obviously...
I'm Mr. Analog Man.
Well, I was going to say, you and I are both... We grew up with no phones and no social media and everything, and it came to us later.
Yeah.
How have you dealt with needing to have social media?
By hiring someone to do it 2 weeks ago.
Right. Okay, that's a great answer. Then we don't have to cover that.
No, because I did a lot of posting myself, but I just, there's so much politics and so much bullshit and people hating everything that I just get depressed going there. So like on my personal Facebook page, I post about music and cats.
The 2 most important things.
Yeah, but basically, but very simple stuff. On my artist page, I post only about music, and if sometimes I post about if I see some of my, like Robin Trower releasing a new album, or some song and I see a video of Jeff Beck. I post some of that, but nothing else. I'm not gonna get in there and talk about that. And Instagram is the same. I think Instagram is now hooked up to Facebook, but the guy who's doing it for me has linked everything. And he's, he asked me for a quote, something, and then he will post around it, post some pictures with it or something. I mean, everybody, all the bigger stars have somebody. They don't do anything themselves.
Yeah. No, I think that's, I'd love to be able to do that.
I haven't paid him yet, and we haven't discussed the price.
We'll get him to do more and then offer something. Actually, you've answered the next question as well. You've answered the booking side, so we'll go on to the more general industry questions. What is the best advice you could give to somebody who wants to start a band today? Somebody young who's got passion for music but doesn't know what to do. What would you...
Well, here we come to this question. What kind of band? Is it a band that has a...
We'll say somebody like you.
Okay.
If you could speak to your younger self, what would be the advice you'd give to 20-year-old you?
One thing that happened is that if you are really serious, you got to play all the time. You got to do gigs that you don't get paid for. You do gigs that you get paid for, but you have to play it. You can practice in the rehearsal room till you're blue in the face. But if you're a little bit nervous about going on stage, it doesn't really matter. You fuck up anyway. So more gigs, possibly less practice. Only practice the new songs and then get going. And say goodbye to your family and your friends, because the 5 guys in the band that's the ones you're going to see most of all the time. I remember breaking down in Sweden at a gig, started, really mental breakdown, crying because some of my best friends were getting married that year. And I missed everything. I saw nobody. I was on the road all the time. Great gigs, great fun, but I suddenly realized that I don't see anybody. Mm-hmm. I only see the guys in the band. And that's the hardest thing. And do this for 2 or 3 years. If you get somewhere good, continue. if not realize that maybe this wasn't for you or you're not good enough. And if you want to continue, get a job on the side so that you can continue with the world's best hobby in the world. And what people don't realize, I didn't realize this when we started, that, hey, am I going to play after I'm 30, 40, 50? As I said, I'll be 62. I didn't really think that when I was 11. 11 I was when I said, I'm going to be a guitar player. And my mom and dad laughed. And here I am.
Still
I'm
doing it.
very, very lucky. I played, with Wishbone Ash. I played with Leningrad Cowboys. I've been around the world. I played a lot of places. I'm not a mega star in any way, but I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
But even if you get one hit and you're the talk of the town, the talk of the country or whatever, you're the biggest thing for 2 or 3 years when you're 20-something. That is not a guarantee that you're going to do that when you're 40 anymore.
Mm.
So how much do you really want to do this? And I'm not trying to be negative. This is the truth. And this is the same thing, if you want to be the fucking world's best CEO for Nokia or whatever, you got to be fucking smart. And they fire a lot of people there.
Mm.
It's not that different, you have to put your heart and soul in there. The only difference between that kind of Nokia, that kind of business, and being in a band is in a band you create your own shit. You want to take it to other people and you believe in it. Whereas when you work for a corporation, you do the corporation shit and you can't put as much in it.
Yeah.
And I've told now when I do guitar clinics at these music schools and I'll do some seminars and stuff, and I said, look, if you love playing, don't stop. If you don't want to play live, play at home. If you want to play live, then you have to start with friends' parties, and then you start to see if you can get a cover gig somewhere. Don't expect to get rich on this.
Especially not nowadays.
No.
Yeah.
You won't, but you can make, if you do well, you can make a good living. I struggle sometimes, and other times I eat extra cake,
Yeah, that's another great quote. In terms of independent music, you are an independent artist. Do you think independent music is in a good place right now?
Well, again, it comes down to how you are doing it. I know that there are very successful indie artists that are almost bordering on being major artists because they are so big. But then again, as I said, how long is it going to last? And everything seems to go up and down. I mean, there was a time when guitar music was like the absolute no-no. And now I get more interview requests and more interest because I release an instrumental album. I don't think in that sense there are no rules. You are as big as you can get if you work hard for it. And I think indie music is probably doing, and also if you think about all the metal and which are on smaller labels, but has a very, very dedicated crowd, audience, the same as indie music. It's not like one of these big artists that play 2 stadium nights. But I don't think I actually even want to be that, not anymore in any way. I just want to play my music the way I want to play. But I think that there's a good scene going on with the indie music. But if you ask someone who's at the lower caste, they say, no, it's shit. But if you ask the one who's on the top, no, it's great. So it's always down to popularity, I guess, as well.
I found personally, I played in Kuopio a few years ago solo, and half empty, half full, depending on which way you want to look at it. But I had people coming up to me talking about my music afterwards. Yeah. And that's far better. I mean, I play in covers bands. We've both done that. It's great to have people singing along. But when people react to your music and they have a passion for what you've done, that drives you on.
And I mean, I sell obviously merchandise, CDs and vinyls and whatnot on the gigs. And when I realized that, let's go back maybe 6-7 years when CDs were still selling, or 10 years, I got a really good income on selling stuff on the gigs. Now people don't, because are you on Spotify? I said, yes. But if you want to support the band, you can buy the CD. Yeah, I'll buy one. I'll have it on my shelf and I'll look at it. But the best thank you to your music is when you get somebody coming after the show, hey, that song really touched me, or oh fuck, that was the grooviest guitar playing I heard in ages. Or that was really cool when your band did this song and that, even if it's a cover and something. That's the best feedback you can get.
Yeah, absolutely.
That basically keeps you going.
Yeah.
Because if you go up to Kuopio and do a solo gig and people go, thank God you stopped.
Well, I've had that as well, but not that.
Well, I haven't had that, but you know what I mean.
I do, yeah, absolutely. What are your thoughts on the instant fame machine? And by that I mean things like X Factor and these kind of shows.
Well, they sell a dream to the people who are there who've never fucking been on the road, seen a stage, and they're great singing at home with their karaoke machine. There are talent people there. Always talented people will take part of this. It's a shortcut to fame, but what fame is it that you want? When the first Voice of Finland was here, Mikko Sipola won it. I think it was Voice of Finland. And he's a fucking brilliant singer, and he has some good songs. No, we have a team that writes the songs for you. And these players are going to have to play on it. There was another guy who was second or third who said, can you come and play solos on a couple of songs? And I said, yeah. So the studio's close to me. He said, yeah, we're in the studio on was it a Wednesday or Thursday. I came there with my guitar and my little pedals and stuff. And the producer said, hi, Ben. What are you doing here? So he asked me to come and play. I said, no, sorry, you can't. The contract says we have the players. Sorry, really sorry about this band, but you can't play on this album. And the guy was like, what? Why not? That's a perfect place for a solo on that. Yeah, but we have somebody else who's going to play there. So as an artist, when you win those, your control of what you do is close to zero.
So is this back to major label control again?
Yeah, exactly. And I also don't like looking at it when the idea is that if you're shit, that you get bollocked, on TV. But then again, if you're shit, why do you go on TV?
Yeah.
I think it's sometimes biased, and I think it is a business. It's a business. It's not, at no point do they have the chance to play their own music. They always sing somebody else's. Because if they would sing their own music, the audience would not like to listen, because I don't know this.
Well, I think the most successful talent competition, second place in this country's made the most money, which is Anna Poo.
Yeah.
She didn't even win, did she? Co-op won that year.
Jari Salminen, my drummer, plays in her band.
Right.
Yeah. And she become an artist on her own.
Mm.
And often, like the third or second place or the fourth place, they have a good boost from this because they're not contracted to work with the label. They can do whatever they like.
Right.
And, wasn't Anna Abra also one who wasn't...
She didn't win, did she? Yeah, no, that's true.
But some of the people who won, Kopp Aronen, oh man, that's a long story I'm going to go into, but the bullshit that he had to go through.
Yeah. Well, that first single, the lyrics were...
Yeah.
We won't go there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's kind of what I expected you to answer, to be fair. Do you think it's easier for an artist based in Europe or the US, from what you've seen? I mean, obviously, you've met a lot from both.
I'll tell you an example. When I started booking gigs, I would see the clubs that I play, and I go and play, and I asked, okay, there was a guy played before me who I know, and I won't go. That is okay, but not anywhere as close as... The band is nowhere as close as mine, and we are better as a band players, and we have better songs. But it said US or UK, and mine says Finn. So of course it has a difference. It shouldn't have, but it has.
So you think it even makes a difference within Finland if you're from abroad too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's, hey, toi on international tähti, hey. It's international, or whatever they want to say, but it brings more interest.
So I should keep UK on my...
Yeah, definitely. Good for you.
Well, since Brexit, no, but we won't go there either. Okay, what are you currently up to? You've got an album coming out at the end of May?
Yeah. I am doing press, and I'm doing this, for instance, and I have a couple of gigs before that, and then I have a tour with this German band that I'm in, Blug, Granfelt and Engelin, which is two strat players, me and Thomas Blug, and then Martin Engel is the bass player, producer. And we have a tour in May, before the album comes out. I'm writing songs for that, so I'm keeping busy. Other than that, I try to go and train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which I have to leave for in 5 minutes.
That's why I was getting to the end of this quickly.
So that's what I do whenever I can, 3 times a week. More than that, and my body breaks, but I still love doing it.
Where can people find you? What are your socials? And
Facebook, Instagram, what else is there? I don't know.
There's so many that are completely pointless.
I said I don't want to be on TikTok, and I know nothing about. I think Facebook and Instagram are the ones where you can find me online. I mean, it's bengranfelt.com is my website. So
And people can find your vinyl and stuff like that on there as well.
Now we took down the shop that was on Facebook, and we're going to put up a new one, because the label has a pretty good distribution, so you can find it, and most people order albums from Amazon.
Is your label Finnish?
No, it's German.
German, okay.
A1 Records.
Okay, well that's about it. I skipped a few, but we've made it in time.
Okay,
so
well thank you very much
for your time, Ben. Much appreciated.
I hope all you youngsters listening understand what I meant.
Thank you.